Today my talk is getting limited to sensory disabled. And there are different types of sensory disability in which I'll be concentrating mostly on autism spectrum disorder. This is what I'm going to talk about it today on it. One of the things we found in the research was every autistic person is different. If you have met an autistic person, you have met just one autistic person. That is where one of the major troubles that we found. How can we design a building where these people are able to lead a normal life? How can we create an environment which is sensitive towards these things? Why can't we design a special school for the autistic children? And that's the way we try to. Today my talk is getting limited to sensory disabled. And there are different types of sensory disability in which I'll be concentrating mostly on autism spectrum disorder. This is what I'm going to talk about it today on it. Now, one of the very common things which you find in many of the buildings or many of the things, the ramp is never according to standards. People give, say for example in the lift, what you see on the right hand side of the photo, they give the wrong. It's meant for the blind people, but they are not using the proper braille letters. So this kind of confusions is quite a bit. And this is the school project which we have done. So in every project, the vision is important. So we just said that support the special needs children and young adults. So we try to define the vision in every project. And when we try to look at the autism specific disorder, spectrum disorder, and specific learning disorder, what we try to do in this project, we try to find out what is ideal for them. The question which came when we try to look for the standards, very little is written about autism spectrum disorder and even the specific learning disorder. We did the design, say 3-4 years ago, we did the research, but what I find is that during the last 2-3 years, a lot of research has come. So I think this is an area where we are going to give much more attention, and that is what has happened. So when the project came to me, the school, the school was already functioning in rented buildings. So I told the school people that you are always adapted to an existing building, and we can try to plan for a new building which will be specially made for these people. That's how we started. So when the project came in, that is one of the things which I told when I discussed with the school authority, Sankalp School. Many of the design we adjust. You buy an Innova car and you adjust according to the Innova car. It says 7-seater, but the backside is actually meant for vegetables. If somebody has to get into the backside, somebody has to get out of. From the front, somebody has to get out. So we said, why can't we design something which is specifically designed for these people? This is where we did not find much guidelines. In fact, I didn't have anybody with autism in my family. So my knowledge about autism or the knowledge of most of the people in my office was also very limited. One of the things we found in the research was every autistic person is different. If you have met an autistic person, you have met just one autistic person. That is where one of the major troubles that we found. So we looked at their characteristics, the lack of, their problems, motor coordination, attentiveness, the lack of social interaction. They get disturbed by some patterns, some noise. They enjoy rotating certain things. So we just try to look into these things and we try to study special learning disability. And when it comes to special learning disability, there are a lot of people who have that thing where the problems are slightly different. It's more of a processing disorder. And we try to, some people have dyslexia, there are some people who have problems with mathematics. So what we try to do in this, how can we design a building where these people are able to lead a normal life? How can we create an environment which is sensitive towards these things? Why can't we design a special school for the autistic children? And that's the way we try to. We have done some school designs earlier. So one of the concepts of the school is the 3H principle: head, hand and heart. Most of our school looks only at the head. Memorizing things, thinking about our exams, everything is looking towards the head. People don't use the hand. I mean, the muscle or manual labor is looked down upon in our educational system. The heart is also not given importance, but we just tried to go through. There were some school people who tried to look at the 3H, which we found very interesting. So 3H could be one of the principles. And also the left and right side of the brain. The left side focuses on the logical thinking, and the right side is involved with the more creative. So it's many of the schools, the way conventional schools, the way it is done, they are not able to balance or trying to do one of the sides is given more importance. So we found that when we started doing the project, when we started doing the research, try to understand, we found that it's not easy. We thought initially doing the project is easy. So it's easy to solve a problem if we can find out the right kind of questions. And it's difficult to solve a problem which not. So we got confused among our, because the brief which was given to us was, they said so many classrooms, so many this sensory room, occupational therapy room. The classrooms they wanted, the size was very small. So the sensory room is separate. Also all these things were there. We just tried to look at the conventional school of a special needs, which the Sankalp School authorities were already running it. They wanted smaller schools because it's a high teacher-student ratio is there in special needs children. So we have 6 or 8 students, autistic children, and there is 2 faculty or 2 staff will be there. And so the 6 students means mostly the classes were much smaller, which is where we found a little bit difficult, which we thought is not the right approach when we try to do, because if the student has a breakdown, student wants to be isolated, then they have to go to another, the child has to be taken to another room. So we try to ask some of these questions, and I'm just giving the answers which says, what is it that makes an autistic children behave in an abnormal way? Nobody knows. It's a wiring problem in the brain. Every child is different. So a generalized problem cannot be pointed. The second thing which we had an issue, is do we stimulate or not stimulate the senses? So that we've looked at different approaches. One is a neurotypical approach. The other is based on the senses, sensory design approach. So our question was, do we stimulate or not stimulate the senses? And the answer was, yes, we will have to stimulate the senses. The objective is to balance both these approaches by creating an environment which makes them independent to face the world. Also be sensitive enough for their needs and requirements. Many of the designs which have been experimented in various places uses neurotypical approach or the sensory design. We decided to combine the two because the answer which was given by the school, because they have been running the school for more than 15 years, they know they have been dealing with autistic children. So we decided that we need not look at one of the typical approach. Next question is, do we need releasing valves in the classroom? Yes, sometimes we need just to leave the student on his own to calm him or herself down. Having releasing valves in the classroom or as a common space between some classrooms will be helpful. Because what they had existing school was to have a smaller classroom. When the students wants to be isolated, they took the child to be another room. And that's what they try to do. Which are the isolated spaces? They are the sensory rooms, they are the coves, alcoves, where the students can be left alone to calm himself or herself. So this is what they used to do. So one of the major turning points in our design came when we said that let the classroom be big in size, where a student need not go out of the classroom to be isolated. Within the classroom, there are spaces for him to be isolated. He can choose. There will be some students who will be doing one activity, there will be other students doing other activities. So for a class children or students strength of say 8 or 10, the classroom became bigger. The classroom became 750 square feet. Normal classroom is, for 30 students is 500 square feet, etc. So this became bigger because if student wants to go and isolate himself in the room, there is a space for it. Students wants to go and work at a computer or some other kind of activity, there is a space for it. There is a space for teacher to teach the 6 or 8 of the students sitting in a conventional way. That similarly, we looked at the special learning disabilities, where we found the problems are slightly different. So we asked the question, how are the special learning disability kids different from normal kids? These kids are very normal, but at times due to their inability to process things, as I said, there is a processing disorder or instruction, they can get frustrated very easily. They also need these releasing valves when they can calm themselves. Do they have any special requirement? The school aims at providing different intelligences according to the theory of multiple intelligence. Therefore, the classroom spaces can be as flexible as possible to allow the movement of students between different classrooms depending on their abilities. We thought that the project might go out of our hand, but I told the teachers or the faculty and the trustees very clearly, you always adapted to a building, but architecture and design is so powerful that you can have a building where the children will feel like normal. So can a sensory normal environment be built for them? So the hypothesis is, given the right environment and the teaching method, these children can lead a normal life. Because the school trustees and the teachers look only at the teaching methods. They just wanted to satisfy only the physical spaces, physical requirements. We said that if we design a proper building, there is a possibility that it will be much better for you to teach. And this is what I tried to do. There was the sensory design approach, and there is a neurotypical approach. I'm not going into elaborate. There are schools done in various places with both these approaches, where we decided to combine these two approaches in a way in which we try to. Now, what is that which prompted us to do? And we looked at the Indian tradition. We looked at the idea of a temple, the concept of a temple. Now, what happens in a temple? You have the chakras, and this is the one illustration which we have done. That there is a layout, the Panchakoshas. When you visit the temple, what happens? You remove the slippers. I'm trying to tell the concept of an Indian temple in a brief way. You just remove the slippers. What you are trying to do, you are sensitizing the touch sense, Panchendriyas. There are 5 senses, you are sensitizing the Panchendriyas. There are bells in the temple, you ring the bell, the sound is stimulated. You look at the fire, which is another element, a prominent element of the Panchendriyas is also there. And you smell, you take the flowers, you smell. So we just try to design the whole space where the senses will be stimulated. One of the problems with the architecture or many of the things, they look at color, they look at texture, but they fail to look at sound or music. Music therapy is there, sound therapy is there. Even color, phototherapy or color therapy is there. Aromatherapy is there. Once when you say the senses, many of the autistic children get irritated with various things. Each child gets irritated by various things. Some will get irritated by noise, some will get irritated by darkness, some might get irritated by having too much light. Let the child be free enough to choose what he wants to do. He wants to be isolated, he can just go to a corner and get isolated himself. The freedom of the students is very important, and that's what we try to look at one of the things. And we said that we will consider them as normal kids, and we will try to design what is normal for them, and adapting to the teaching methodology, which is very important, because the teachers, we interacted with the teachers at every stage, how they want to live. So we have various groups of, the furniture is designed in such a way they can form different combinations with a smaller group of children. And we try to look at the different approach. We hope that the new approach will make the school much better. We have to think differently, because if you think in the same way, the same old results will come. And we also thought in a different way. Einstein said it very correctly. If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. That's exactly what happens in our education system. Because each one has their pluses, each one has their minuses, but unfortunately we put them through the typical education system where the child starts thinking he's stupid, and that is what we try to do. So we try to bring in design criteria for autism. One is that let the classroom be very flexible and adaptable. That is one of the things which we try to do. That's why we have the big classrooms. Try to be non-distracting. So normally I've done schools for small children where we bring in a lot of colors and all those things. Here we did not try to do that. Here we try to have less clutter, less visual distractions. Of course, we had windows and all those things. Try to have natural light and the trees and greenery to be part, but try to keep it non-distracting or that as well. And the students should have control over their spaces. And it should be very predictable. Let us not bring in very complex planning and complex school system. And it should be very simple there, which should be done. So predictability becomes very, very important. And all the children, as I said earlier, should avoid the non-threatening kind of spaces. Something which they are very comfortable with. And where the light is there, the smell is there, the touch is there, sound is there, and all those things. And we try to make the school very non-institutional. There were two arguments which we had. If we make the school very non-institutional, it doesn't look like a typical school environment. Make it more like a home with the kind of furniture and the materials. That could be one. The second thought process which came was, one of the arguments which came was that we should go for a institute, some areas, because these children have to face the real world. They have to go to public areas and live if they try to lead a normal life, then they should be able to face that. So in some areas, we try to make it a little bit institutional. Some areas with the choice of furniture and everything, we made it less institutional, made a conscious decision. Safety was of prime importance. We increased the height of the railing. We made rounded corners. So many of these features, the toilets and all these things, were brought into the school. And inducing cognition and learning. That is also a very important thing which we try to bring in. I mean, so we are still, some of the steps are still being done. We try to bring in a lot of natural light. See, what we got was an existing building, which had some 15,000 square feet. Now the school is around 50,000 square feet. So we had to add quite a bit. So in some areas we were forced to use the existing spaces. It was an old age home where people used to say it's like a dormitory accommodation. We tried to do. So we tried to research upon what colors to be used, which will be soothing them, or what kind of spaces like these arose spaces which we tried to create in the school. So this was the building which came somewhere. I mean, this was a building built in the 1980s with the asbestos roof and the concrete roof, very narrow verandas and things like that, which we had to, not much trees or any of those things. So if I show the floor plan, and this is what has happened, we demolished some of the structures which I have shown. So the one shown in the orange has to be demolished. The one with the yellow color had to be rebuilt, and we kept some of the buildings. So the grey thing, we kept those buildings and incorporated into the new design. So this is the design, the master plan, which has been. This block is still not done. This is for the special learning disability. They are still working in a rented place, but eventually this block will be built and the children will be shifting to the new place. So you can see the new additions. A substantial new addition has been made. As I said, we are around 15,000 square feet is the old building, and we have added about 35,000 square feet. And if you try to do the zoning, this is the administrative block, and there is a teacher training block also built into it. And this is the learning center. And this is the open school, which is special learning disability, which is being planned for the future. So this is the 3D view which we try to make with the existing building and all those things, how it is. I mean, these were some of the visualizations which were made at that time. And these were after the buildings. I mean, the landscaping is still coming up. This is one of the front areas. We are given the ramp access and all those things. And we use some color schemes based on our thing. And you can see some of the classrooms. The classrooms are much bigger. I mean, the number of students in these classrooms are only 8. There is a lavish, little bit extra expenditure involved as part of this. Both these buildings were the old building block. So we changed the asbestos into mangrove tiles. We tried to bring in building as a learning aid. It's very much done in schools across India. Kabir Bajpai has done it, written a book on it, where the students' cognitive learning and all those things can be improved. Look at the patterns. For example, this is one of the drills in the school, which we tried to work out on each of these as a learning aid kind of thing. The verandas are very broad because one of the things which was brought in that the students clash against each other, and we brought in a lot of courtyards also as part of it. So you can see the landscape is coming up, and this is the natural lighting is very prominent. The colors we use, we did some research on the colors which will stimulate the senses, and we try to give those colors. Orange is used, light green is used, some blue is used. And this is the occupational therapy room where they are being given training on those aspects. Landscaping also, we try to look at the vegetable garden, some of the natural trees, some trees where the flowers are give the smell. This is the sensory garden which we try to add it. This is the tire park which was added as part of the thing. We try to make the campus green by having solar panels on the roof. The school can run on solar panels entirely. The school has a bakery, so if the oven and things are not running, the entire power will be taken. Yes, we have given a 25 kilowatt to run the entire school so that it doesn't depend on the grid for running it. We try to minimize contrast because the children get disturbed by the patterns to some extent. Children get disturbed by the contrast. So we try to avoid the extremes in the terms of the color, in terms of the material, in terms of the flooring and everything. We try to keep that. And in one of the initial things which is very well accepted is wayfinding is very important for autistic school children. Maps, we were trying to put it in the place. And we try to bring in pictograms and images. The music room will have a separate image. Each of those things we try to bring in colors and symbols which are normally used. So we just wanted the children to improve their capacity of that. So it's not just the signage is not just written like that. And we try to create a herbal garden and eco farm within the campus. The campus is about 2 acres. We try to bring in plants and we try to bringing the names of the plants. So it's learning from the landscape, learning from the building. Architecture supplements the teaching activity of the students, and this is what we were just trying to do into the overall thing. And the school overall, these things seems to be working because we were very careful about whether the school is going to function. I was a little bit tense whether this is going to work or not. So the teachers who used to come to the school, they found the school to be very exciting. We sold the school to the children. Normally, typical school, you have a military kind of arrangement, which we thought that these children give the feeling that the school is free. They can go around, courtyards are different, all those things are different. And it seems to be working. The feedback, the parents who came by the school building, because the school authorities told the parents to go and see the school and they can take a decision whether they want to continue their children in the new school or slowly we found the parents started liking the school. And because of the corona, things got, the typical education started only a few months ago. And once the school started functioning, we could find substantial, the school started reporting. Students who never climbed stairs have started climbing stairs. The students who were violent or get disturbed or started becoming calmer and cool. So there is a change which has happened. I mean, we don't have any study what is the impact of this design which has made on the school as a whole, but the teachers are happy, the school authorities are very happy, the parents are happy. We try to look into an approach. I won't say that it is a very novel approach or new approach. I will never say that. We try to look at certain things. We try to take certain, the inspiration from the Indian temple. We try to look at, I'm not saying temple, all temples do not have that sacredness. We try to look at sacred spaces. We try to look at spaces which will calm down a person. We try to look at spaces where the Panchendriyas, the five senses could be balanced properly. It's an experiment, it's a kind of thing. And the initial results are good. So we hope that, a year or two will give us a better learning experience on better insights into how the architecture has helped the students. So the school people are also telling the architecture is helping in trying to run the school in a better way. So that's what I wanted to tell.